Hi guys, today I want to talk about 10 most common mistakes in music production. As you probably know, I'm a music producer for quite long, it's 12 years now, and I have a lot of students I had, and I can see many mistakes from their side, from my side, from my experience, and today I want to talk about it what I think they are like 10 the most mistakes and how to avoid it. So first mistake is no vision before starting new project. So I mean you just open Ableton, just your dock, and you just starting do something without any plan, any vision. And I think what you should do if you want to be like a successful music producer in the future, you need to have a plan. For example, today I'm starting my session and I know that I'm gonna do, for example, Goa Trance with some cinematic elements. It will be about 147 BPM. Then in the break I will do some breakbeat beats, for example, and this is what I have in my mind when I'm starting to do some project. And that's what I also recommend you to don't stuck like in the loop. Well, because many producers just start like this without any plan. They stuck in the one loop and they moving to another project because they don't know what to do. So it's better to think just before you start. Okay, today I'm doing this. It will be in a more dark style, let's say, maybe a bit faster, and you have something in front. So then it's much easier to go further. All right. Second, a very common mistake is working on too high volume. I mean, your project is about to be just red. I've seen it like many times in other producers' projects. For example, if they send me their project, or when I'm working with my client, I see they working on red even, and then they trying to add limiters or something to cover that mistake. So what you can do if you don't want to have this problem, because for example in the beginning when you just making your arrangement, it's fine, but if it's come to mix down, then it will be like a lot of work to take everything on the right level. So what I recommend to you, start your project just, for example, kick and bass, keep it on like -12 dB, and try to have your own other elements, for example, percussion, effects, leads, keep on -6 dB. So you can do it in few ways. So you can, for example, take your level, your fader level down till -12 or -6, or you can add a utility plugin on every single audio or MIDI track, and you can set it on default on -6 dB. So your original level, like a volume level on the in Ableton or whatever, it will be 0, but on the inside in your chain, utility plugin will have the gain on -6, and then it will be much easier for you to keep this healthy headroom for the mastering. And then you don't have to be aware of clipping, of having like a red signal on your every single audio clip or MIDI clip. So that's really important thing, to don't have everything too loud in your project. Keep it a little bit lower on the volume, and then leave that volume gain for the mix and mastering process. All right, another mistake is overuse of audio effects like EQ, OTT, compressors, limiters, clippers, and reverbs, echoes, and this kind of effects. What I mean by that, I see very often, like when I'm working with beginners, that they tend to use, for example, two OTTs on one lead sound, which is supposed to be like nice and hearable and rich. They put two OTT really like they are splashed, and after that they put reverb, and after that huge one delay and another delay. It's never gonna work, never. What I want to say is to learn more about these effects. For example, EQing. What I see very often is like it's some very strange like cutting or boosting parametric EQ, and I see something like this, like this, something like that. And then if you're gonna make it wrong, you will boost like really drastically some frequencies which are gonna fuck up your mix. And what I'm doing if I sing this kind of EQs, I'm just deleting. I'm just telling to delete it and make it again without this kind of things. It's never gonna be good. Sometimes we have to boost sometimes we have to boost some frequencies, and it's okay. But yeah, this kind of like very sharp frequencies, if you don't understand how it works, don't use it. Use, for example, parametric EQ to cut the low frequencies, boost tiny bit some frequencies, but don't to put too many crazy things like this. Don't overdone it. Use it nice and simple. Learn about it. Learn how to use EQ. Learn how to use compressors. I have a student which is using a lot of reverb, like a lot of delays, like 2 delays on the lead melodies, a lot of reverb. And after that, these leads, they losing their dynamic, and they losing their power. The entire track is just sounds like big hole. And that's why you have to be really careful that how do you use reverbs, and really careful where and when you're gonna use it, because less is more. Remember, also the same thing is about delays. If you're gonna have some pretty nice melody and you're gonna add a lot of delay, it will be really hard to hear how amazing this melody is. That's why less is more, and try to add, let's say, more different kind of effects like reverb, delay, OTT, and this kind of things, but slightly, and then it will be much better, much better. Another very common mistake is focusing about low frequencies. I had the same problem. I wanted to have my tracks really nice and with nice low end, and it was driving me crazy when I was, for example, playing on some festivals, and I was playing my tracks, and they didn't have that low end as the other guys, other artists. And then I was boosting a lot of low frequencies. Then you have to learn a bit more about frequencies, about EQing, actually about mixing. Every producer must learn basic of mixing. Even if you don't want to make your own mixes and you want to, for example, send it for mixing and mastering, you need to have this knowledge, basic or not. Just you need to know what to do, which frequencies boost, which not, and when to boost, when not. And don't try to boost it as much, but because if you're gonna boost it too much low frequencies, in the end the mastering engineer couldn't even boost your track, or he will need to take your low frequencies down, because if he gonna put the limiter and he gonna squash the track by limiter, then he gonna get artifacts really quickly. So it's really important to have healthy amount of lows, but the most important frequencies in the track are mid frequencies. That's why we have, like, for example, the Bluetooth speakers, they have the mid frequencies, yeah, and the high frequencies. So it's better to focus more on the nice and rich mid frequencies and high frequencies. And if you're gonna have this good, low frequencies should be much easier to handle later on. All right, another mistake is not using reference track while doing arrangement and while mixing and mastering. And I was also doing things like this. I was making the track. I thought, all right, it will be good. Then when I was playing this track, for example, in SoundCloud, and then some other next and play, and I said, what the my track sounds really horrible. And then I have to come back and I delete it from the SoundCloud. That's why when you finalize your arrangement, it's good to take some really good master and well produced track, put it on top of your production, play it on the same level, because make sure you have the same level. You can put the span, you can see the level there, and then you can see your level. And if you're gonna match the levels of your both track, you will see the differences. What do you have too much? Which frequencies are like too much or too less in the in your comparison. We have some nice VSTs actually, which really helps in this. For example, this one is really good VST. It's AB metric. You can put your track here and another track for your reference, and then you can see very nice the differences between both of them. So it will be much easier to find what you can do. Maybe you have to just boost a little bit mid frequencies, maybe take out a little bit bass, boost highs, and this kind of thing. So always try to work with references track. And what I think the best option is, if you making track, for example, in D minor, then find your favorite artist track, for example on Beatport on D minor, also buy it, put it in your DAW, and then work with this, and it will be much better instead of putting other key track. But anyway, the best option is to use the same. Another mistake is no separation between sound designing and arrangement. What I mean by this? I mean that producers starting project and immediately in arrangement view, for example in Ableton, they making sound design in the same time when they building the story, the arrangement. So it's like now when I'm thinking about it, it's like you are like stuck in some moment because you want to build some nice sound while you making the story, you building the track, you making your arrangement, and then you cannot move forward because you have to correct your sound because it's not as you want. So what I think and what we should do as a music producers, we should divide sound design process and arrangement process. That's why I love Ableton Live and I love Session View in Ableton Live. And what I'm doing first, I'm doing sound design for like few my sessions, like kick, bass, leads, effects. First I'm doing it here, and when I have, for example, 3 different kind of leads, and I know that they are really, really good. I have some effects, I have my kick and bass, and I have many types of melodies I already made in session view. Then I'm hitting record. I take my MIDI controller, for example this one, and then I can move and make my arrangement. And when you're gonna do like this, for example, when I make one lead sound, I made about like 10 different melodies. I'm making another lead. For example, it will be something totally different than previous one, and another 10 different melodies. And when I have this, it's kind of my I don't know, draft. I don't know how to say even. But you have a lot of melodies here in session view, and then when you're gonna play it, like the clips with your bass, you can understand which melody will follow after this one. And when you know this, then you hit record and you can make much smoother arrangement. That's why what I think if someone have Ableton Live and making music kinda Goa Trance, where is a lot of melodies, for example trance, a lot of melodies, where is for example, I don't know, progressive house or melodic techno, everything where you can have melodies. If you're not using session view, you're totally missing out, totally. And I see this is ridiculous. If someone have a Ableton Live and have a session view, they putting the melodies like here, okay, one melody here, one melody here, one melody here, and then they moving this melody here, but you have it just here in session view. So that's why you have to first do sound designing, and then you're moving to arrangement, and that's what we should do. Another mistake, that's a mistake what I was doing for years, and please don't do it. It's about rendering unfinished tracks. I was even render, for example, kick and bass plus percussion, to just listen on my phone, for example, at work. How does it sound? How does it sound in my car? This actually ruin your perspective on the track if it's not finished. Because look, for example, you're gonna make, let's say, 3 minutes, 4 minutes arrangement, and you love it. And then you decide to render it and listening, for example, on the phone, as I said. And if you're gonna listen over and over again, your brain will get used to it. And yeah, you're listening to it, but you say, okay, because I'm listening to it because I want to find what I can do else in this track. All right, but it doesn't work like this. So if you're gonna do like this, your brain will get used to it, and you trust me, it will be much harder to go forward. Even if you want to like recognize that something is wrong, because all the time you was listening to it and for you it's okay. That's why it's better to leave it in your DAW, and when you finish, like totally finish your track, then do the render, not listening, for example, in your DAW like here. Because if you're gonna listening here, you can, okay, this bass, I think little bit less volume. This snare, I think I need to put a little bit higher. No, you're doing render, then you turning off your DAW and you're gonna play it in, for example, Windows Player or something like this. And then what you can do, take notebook and make your notes. For example, you listen to it and then you say, all right, I think snare needs a little bit more hit, okay? Lead number 5 needs to be more present. And this kind of things you putting on the notes, in your notebook. Then after some time, you're coming back to this project and you just covering everything you have in your notes, and then it will be much better. After this, render again, turn off the DAW, listening to it, and if it's gonna be fine, then mix master, bam, done. All right, next one is about using too many layers in your arrangements. For example, Goa Trance. For if you know Goa Trance, there is sometimes you can find tracks where it's like when you can hear many melodies at the same time, and you have to be really careful of what you're doing, because it's really easy to overdone it. You know, I'm doing mix and mastering, and I have students which are learning Goa Trance, and they sending me their projects, and I see what they do, and sometimes I see like six in one 8-bar loop. I see 6 different leads playing in the same time, 6, and 4 of them in the same frequency range. So imagine what's happening in the mix bus. So the more sound you put in the same time, it will sum on the master bus, and it will be too busy to get from our listener what actually we want to tell by our track. Let's say tell. For example, if you have some nice melody and it will be your lead melody, then you want to put some melody like in the background, and they will play different kind of pattern. And if you're not gonna make a nice balance on the volume, and you're not gonna spread it in a panorama, or if you're not gonna put these different kind of patterns like higher in an octave, lower in an octave, then you will have total mess, and your listener not gonna even find this nice melody because it will be covered, and it will be just one big mess. So if you have this kind of problems, like I having these melodies, this, and it's like 4, 5, 6, decide what you want to remove. Sometimes it's just good to select it, click 0, deactivate it, and then you will see, okay, this moment without this melody is fine. Let's see if I will turn off another one. Maybe it will be better. And then when you turning off another melody, then you see, oh, my lead melody is nice and hearable. So music production is about decision, and we have to make a lot of decisions during sound designing, arrangements, mix and master, and blah blah blah. So don't overdone it. Less is more. All right, next one: using bad samples and bad presets in your production. Trust me, this gonna be if you will understand that, you will find out that you've been missing out for a long time. Because if you wonder sometimes why this guy tracks sound so good, I think it's about mastering. No, it's not about just mastering. Mastering is just like a 10-15% of what is it actually. If you're gonna use like very well prepared samples and very good made presets, your tracks will get nice and rich sound. If you're gonna use like weak samples, weak presets, even good like a mixing engineer or mastering engineer is not gonna make it nice and amazing. That's really important. Trust me, it's really worth it to just buy preset pack, as I also buying preset packs from Eclipse, for example. And I really love it. I'm not saying that because I'm also making my preset packs. I'm just saying how it is. For example, if you're gonna buy really good sample packs from, I don't know, Kashmir, whatever, you will hear the difference. Sometimes it's good to just pay it and have really good sound, and then you don't have to sit down, put the sample in or preset and do a lot of add a lot of audio effects, like EQing or something to make it nice. No, you don't have, because that's the actually point of it, that we have to take care of making that sample preset sounds really good. So you don't have to mess around it too much. So that's why if you, for example, looking preset packs or sample packs for Goa Trance and Psytrance, you can find them in the links down below this video. Okay, last mistake is publishing every single new track you make on SoundCloud and YouTube. Why don't do this? For example, if you're gonna do like this, if some label will find it, they will ask you immediately to delete it. So it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. It's better to make the folder, for example, track for release. Then make your tracks, for example, I don't know, 4, 5, 7, 8. Make from it 2 EPs or 1 full album, make nice email, put them in the private, put it as a private link, make playlist on SoundCloud with like submission demo, album submission demo, blah blah, and then you're gonna have your track like in private, so no one is gonna see it, and send those links to the labels you want to release. And it's much better, because if you're gonna send your tracks, some label could release it, and then after release you can publish your track. So it's much better. Sometimes it's good, of course, to put some sneak demo for fans, and sometimes it's working pretty well for building the follower base. But what I'm not doing for years, I'm not putting my unreleased tracks on SoundCloud. I put only if I decide I'm not gonna release some track and it's called unreleased, I put it there, but I'm not gonna touch it. And that's why what I think it's better to keep it for release. You're gonna sign the contract, release, and then publish on YouTube and SoundCloud and wherever you want. Okay guys, I hope you're gonna like this video. If you like it, please let me know down below in the comments. What do you think? If you have some other requests, what do you want me to make new video, just put it in the comments and I will really appreciate it. Okay, thank you very much and see you in next videos.